In my last video, I discussed some players that, in my opinion, have become a bit overrated in the NBA, and obviously the nature of the video resulted in some mixed reviews, which I expected going in because the topic in and of itself is relatively controversial because of how the term has a negative connotation. For today's video though, we're going to the opposite side of things and are bringing back a more positive outlook, as the topic of today's video will be identifying 10 players in particular that I believe have become severely underrated in the NBA today. These are players that either are viewed by the majority of basketball fans as being worse than they really are, or they're just players that don't get the appropriate attention for being as good as they are. Before we start though, I wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Look, we're all stuck inside right now thinking about how to keep things clean and hygienic, so I want you to pay close attention. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. We've all experienced unpleasant nicks and scratches around the groin region after trying to clean ourselves up down there, so that's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, and just released the new and improved Lawn Mower 3.0. Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can take a longer shave. And one of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show off your motor loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a rapid charging dock powered by USB. If you are listening to me speak right now, you are one of the first people to hear about this life-changing product, and I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code HR20 at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. More information will be linked in the description and in the comments section, but now with that being said, let's get into the video. The first player that I believe has become incredibly underrated by a large majority of NBA basketball fans is Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. Evidence of how underrated Simmons is comes in literally any and every form of discussion around his name when it comes up. Any social media post, mention in the media, or discussion amongst fans always comes with a wave of people bringing up his unwillingness to shoot jumpers, and it's literally impossible for anyone to compliment his game without a sly remark or negative response about his shooting following it. The idea that Simmons' shooting holds his team back is a total myth, and there isn't a single piece of evidence statistically or from simply watching the games that supports that notion, yet it's one of the most common presumptions about him. Simmons is an elite playmaker, elite defender, and one of the fastest players in the league and virtually unstoppable in transition. He makes those around him better, and he's proven to be capable of stepping up and producing at a higher level when the team has been without Joel Embiid. He's easily a top 20 player in the NBA, yet to most people, that would sound like some sort of hot take. The next player that has become pretty underrated in the NBA today is Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets. With Westbrook, a few years ago he probably would have landed on a list of being an overrated player, but the tide has shifted so ridiculously far in the opposite direction regarding how people view his play that now the amount of hate he gets is just completely absurd. You don't have to believe his ability to average a triple-double all those years make him a top 5 player or anything crazy like that, but to completely write off accomplishments like that and claim they don't mean anything is equally as ignorant. Sure, his rebounding numbers have probably been a bit inflated over the years because of the systems he's operated in, but the reason for those systems being the way they are is because when Russ grabs those rebounds, it allows him to immediately push the pace and put pressure on defenses, and that results in much more high-quality opportunities. Even now on the Rockets, he's still very easily one of the best players in the league at beating his man off the dribble and getting to the rim, and with all of the attention James Harden gets by defenses, this becomes even more apparent when the ball was in Westbrook's hands more often. Bleacher Report recently ranked him as the 22nd best player in the league, and that's just stupid, because very much he's still hovering around being a top 10 player. The next player that I believe is a bit underrated in the league today is the man picked first overall in the 2018 NBA draft, being DeAndre Eaton of the Phoenix Suns. That 2018 draft is proving to be filled with quality talent, with Luka Doncic and Trae Young dominating headlines more often than not, but the weird part is that the guy picked first has flown completely under the radar. I can't remember the last time a top pick got this little attention, because whether it be in the media, amongst fans, or even by people around the league, nobody seems to acknowledge Ayton very much. It's not even like he's playing bad either, because he's actually been a highly impressive player, putting up very good numbers. His averages of 19 points and 12 rebounds per game, while blocking just shy of 2 shots per game, is production very few other bigs around the league are putting up. The combination of the Suns once again being a bit disappointing as a team, others in his draft outshining him, and his play not being the flashiest do all contribute to him being underrated, but he definitely does deserve more respect. The next player that is pretty underrated in the NBA world is Christian Wood of the Detroit Pistons. Wood is a 24-year-old, yet has already become a bit of a journeyman in the NBA, and at every stop he's made, he never really got a real opportunity to prove his worth. He sat on the end of benches for several teams, played sparingly, but never really got consistent minutes in a rotation. After years of dominating the G League and Summer League though, he finally got an opportunity in Detroit this year, and he took it and ran with it. When the team traded away Andre Drummond, Wood stepped into his starting center spot, and from that point on, he's produced like one of the best bigs in the whole league. Since that point, he's averaged 23 points and 10 rebounds per game, while shooting 56% from the field and 40% from 3, and his highly skilled play style, both inside and out, give him the exact skill set NBA teams love from their centers. I personally am very high on him and think he could become a borderline all-star in the next few years, but nobody seems to realize the potential he has. Continuing on the trend of journeyman centers finally getting their opportunity, the next underrated player is Rashad Holmes of the Sacramento Kings. Holmes played 3 years in Philadelphia and 1 year in Phoenix prior to this season, and on those teams, he was pretty much only ever used as an energy guy who would make some fun highlight plays and ignite the team, but again, the consistency with his role was never there. Now in Sacramento, the Kings' big man situation was never solidified early on, so it was none other than Holmes who won the starting job. With his hard work and motor, he crashes the glass hard, he finishes incredibly strong around the rim trying to dunk anything he can, and he works very well with De'Aaron Fox in the pick and roll. He's averaging a nice 13 points and 8 rebounds per game this season, and looking even deeper into the numbers, you see that the Kings are almost 4 points better with him on the court versus when he's off the court. He's another guy that just needed an opportunity, and now that he has it, he's making the most of it. The next underrated player this year that we'll be discussing is a choice you probably didn't see coming, but it's Kentavious CaldwellPope of the Los Angeles Lakers. The narrative surrounding this guy has been so negative for most of his tenure with the Lakers, and in large part for good reason, but I don't think many people realize and have given him enough credit for really turning things around this year. He's arguably having the best season of his career, and you have to look past his scoring average to realize this. In the past, he's been heavily criticized for his decision-making and poor shot selection, which in turn resulted in him playing very inefficiently. But this year, he's been much smarter and as a result, has been one of the Lakers' best and most reliable bench players. Despite him scoring the fewest points per game since his rookie season, he's shooting a career high in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, and that, combined with his defensive output, has led to him being exactly the kind of role player that the Lakers need alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The next underrated player is someone who would probably fall under this category for most of his career, being Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics. Looking solely at the box score, you likely wouldn't come away very impressed with Smart's production, because nothing really jumps out at you about a guy that averages 13 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, while shooting only 38% from the field and 35% from 3. But the thing is, that Smart very well may be the perfect example of a player you have to watch regularly to understand just how good he really is. Despite his shooting inconsistencies, he's the heart and soul of the Celtics team, and his non-stop motor, defensive prowess, and the ability to thrive in big moments elevate the team around him. He's one of the best and most versatile defenders in the league, he's a very good playmaker despite what the numbers say, and the Celtics wouldn't be having the success they're having without him. The next underrated player we'll be discussing is a key member of the surprisingly good Toronto Raptors, being Norman Powell. Powell's first 3 years saw him being a bit of a hit-or-miss role player that had flashes of ability, especially with his athleticism and his ability to get to the rim, but all in all he was inconsistent and not the most reliable. Last year though, he finally broke through a little bit, and even though his role didn't change much, he was doing a much better job in his role off the bench. Now playing 10 more minutes per game this year, and as a result of that, he's doubled his previous career high in scoring at 16 per game. He's shooting a career high from the field at 50%, and he's also knocking down threes at a career high rate, making about 40% of them. He's a very good all-around player to have in the rotation, and on a team that was in need of someone to step up on the wing after losing both Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green in the offseason, he's done exactly that this year. The next underrated player we'll be discussing is Dennis Schroder of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder have been one of the most surprisingly good teams of the year, and at the helm, guys like veteran Chris Paul and promising young star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get a ton of the credit. But Dennis Schroder is also having the best season of his career, and he's playing a major role in the team's success. He's scoring 19 points per game while shooting 47% from the field and 38% from three, and is one of the leading candidates for the 6th Man of the Year award. His shot creation and playmaking off the bench have been vital, and his ability to close games despite not starting gives the team a plethora of scoring options down the stretch. He's always been someone capable of performing like this, but this year he's managed to play at a high level much more consistently. And finally, the last player we'll be discussing that I believe has become pretty underrated in the NBA today is TJ Warren of the Indiana Pacers. Warren would also fall under this category throughout most of his career, but despite his vast improvement over the last 2 seasons, the credit he gets still hasn't really changed all that much. The Pacers have been without their star Victor Oladipo for pretty much the entire season, and while Domantas Sabonis has also stepped his game up a good bit and become an all-star, Warren is the guy leading the team in scoring, and also playing a big role in the team being currently 5th place in the East. He's scoring about 19 points per game and has been highly efficient in doing so, making 53% of his shots and 38% of his threes. He's tough to stop in isolation, can create mismatches in the post, and has a killer mid-range game, and most importantly, his three-point shot has improved a ton. He's a very good player to have in your starting lineup, and while he probably isn't cut out to be a true number 1 option, he is definitely a very good number 2. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to check out manscaped.com and get yourself a trimmer, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below any other players you think are underrated in the NBA today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.